I am delighted to welcome all of you to this seminar on driving industrial transportation of Sri Lanka through improved railway system organized by the Supply Chain, Transport and Logistics Committee of the Organization of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka. This topic is especially relevant to Sri Lanka as logistics is already a significant sector of our economy. Moreover, it has been identified by the government as being one of the key industries that has the potential to attract foreign direct investments. Consequently, the development of this sector will play an important role in our journey to economic sustainability. Sri Lanka's robust logistics sector can be attributed to our geographical location and infrastructure, which includes several international airports and harbors, as well as comprehensive road and railway networks. We have a number of local and international logistics companies operating in Sri Lanka, providing direct and indirect employment to thousands of workers. In addition, our exporters depend on the logistics industry to transport their goods safely, efficiently, and cost effectively. Despite the importance of the sector, increased demand has led to significant congestions, leading to bottlenecks and costly delays in the transports of goods. This has been cited as one of the factors hampering not only the logistics sector but also the overall performance of many of our industries. Given Sri Lanka's ambitions to become a multi-modal logistics hub, it is essential that solutions are found to improve the efficiency of our transport infrastructure. Our railway network can undoubtedly play a pivotal role in improving the sector, as we already have a railway system convening most of the country. Railways provide a faster and more affordable alternative to other forms of transport. As such, they provide an excellent alternative to our roads, which are often congested and inefficient. In comparison to other countries, however, our railways can be further improved. It is essential that we look at modernizing and upgrade our railway network in order to maximize its contribution to industrial transport.
I would like to invite first the General Manager Railway, Mr. Jayasundara, the General Manager of Railway Department, an eminent speaker, an engineer by profession, so Director, Technical Ministry of Transport for 2 years, former experience, Chief Engineer Signalling at Railway Department for 7 years, fellow member of IESL, and Masters in Public Administration from University of Sri Lanka and BSc Honours in Electrical Engineering from University of Moratuwa. Mr. Jayasundara.
බෞද්ධ ඉතිහාසය, බෞද්ධ තොරතුරු, ගමේත් නගරේ, පන්සලේ තොරතුරු, පෙරහැර නරඹන්න, විචිත්‍රවත් ධර්ම දේශනා අහන්න. මේ සියල්ල ගෙනෙන එකම බෞද්ධ YouTube නාලිකාව SL පන්සල. subscribe කරන්න, like කරන්න.
Do this presentation and I think I'll try my best to do some justification for your expectation and give me this opportunity. I think when we talk about railway business, we need to understand the basics. Railway came to Sri Lanka in 1864 with a stretch of 54-kilometer railway track. Railway came to Sri Lanka because of freight. I think in UK, it was 1832, they constructed the first passenger railway line. So within another 30 years, railway came to Sri Lanka. So when railway came to Sri Lanka, they got a kind of a monopoly. Wherever railway lines expanded, wherever they established a railway station, townships got developed. That's because railway got a competitive advantage. No other mode of transportation available at that time compete. At that time, railway was competing with bullock carts. You must have seen pictures of bullock carts stopped at Haputale Pass, resting for the next day. So when those means of transportation brought produce from plantations from Kandy, it took few days. So when railway came, it's an instant monopoly. But until Second World War, that monopoly was kept with regulations and lack of road transportation opportunities. There were regulations to prevent road transportation wherever railway is serving. But after 1940, road network started developing, private vehicle ownership became very popular, so therefore railway start facing competition. So that situation is not only in Sri Lanka, even in UK. After Second World War, UK government took over then private railway network into their hand. But by 1950s, 60s, it was making huge loss. Then we must have heard about Beeching Acts. They got a new chairman for the Board of Railway, and they went through the performance and reduced 12,000 kilometers of railway tracks and 2,000 or 3,000 railway stations. That's the reality. When railway is no longer monopoly, we cannot expect that kind of market share. Yeah, today railway is not performing well. There are a lot of areas we can talk about efficiency or I think productivity, but still there are fundamental facts we need to understand. That is, the world has changed. Railway no longer got a monopoly. So even I think if you consider Japan, I think before Second World War, in preparation for the Second World War, Japanese government took over their railway. But when in 1960s and 70s, 80s, it started making huge losses. So they have to privatize it again. So process is still going on, maybe now completed. So railway, earlier railway, when they got a monopoly and current performance, we need to be considered with necessary facts. And also railways for mass transportation. I am getting lot of requests for having a train to replace a bus. So we call it baby train, where a train is only carrying 2 carriages, engine is only carrying 2 carriages. Maybe 100 people traveling by it, but if you see the fuel consumption, train engine consumes around 4 liters, so maybe 3 liters of diesel. But if you consider a bus, with 1 liter of diesel, it goes for 3.5 kilometers, or maybe 3 kilometers. So whenever train is not carrying sufficient passengers for 10 buses, that's an environmental disaster and also economical loss. So therefore we need to understand the situation, because so I think it's a simple picture. Please remember it. Railway is for mass transportation. Even in goods transportation, if you are carrying just 2 containers, it's much better if you carry by road. Only if there's a huge demand where you can ensure carriage of maybe 12 wagons, 14 wagons, 15 wagons, then only become viable and environmentally friendly. Also, when we run trains, there's something called line capacity. There's earlier I think earlier gentlemen talk about we are having single line tracks. So that's a constraint. So when we got 2 stations, maybe A, B, C, D, like that, if the train is going from A to D, we got 3 sections. One section it takes 10 minutes, next section 20 minutes, third section maybe 15 minutes. So if the train is going from A to D, we can run trains every 20 minutes. So this BC section is the bottleneck. So there are constraints like that. So when we run trains small size, still they take over whole section in a single line. Maybe in the same direction we can have signaling, block signaling, and break it to 3-minute sections. You can carry more trains, but still if the train is coming from opposite side, the constraint is there 20 minutes. So we have to be very selfish. When you put trains to our tracks, we have to be very, very selfish to make sure it's efficient usage. I think even if you see the small one, the small train, the baby train there, it is, if you put onto a track, it will take 20 minutes and it will stop train carrying 2,000 people for 20 minutes before it give that section for the bigger train. So therefore that's a fact I think we need to consider when we plan freight or passenger transportation by railway. I think this slide I thought about not putting it here, but I think we need to discuss this. I am ready for your questions. The thing is, usually it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. When usually in Sri Lanka, I understood it, almost every people love railway. So they find fault with us because we are not running railway up to the level they expect. So they got their own theories and hypotheses. This is the way railway should be run. So without knowing necessary facts. So that can be applied to Dunning-Kruger effect. So I think there are some situations I have faced. There's a goodwill is there, but lack of knowledge is creating unnecessary friction sometimes. So as I mentioned earlier, the railway is no longer monopoly. So we need to compete. Okay, earlier we won that war of the competition with bullock carts, but today we have lost that war. So therefore, earlier I think our freight transportation may be in 1960s, somewhere around 30s and 40s. Now we have gone down to 2%. In passenger transportation, we have come down to 5 from earlier I think 30s, 40s, and in 1960s. We need to consider two facts. One thing is competition. Other thing is the market size. When the market size becomes bigger, our contribution or share becomes smaller. That doesn't mean service provided by railway has diminished. So because we have to consider that scenario also. But due to this number of vehicles coming onto our roads creating congestion, today railway got opportunity. That's serving suburban areas, Colombo, maybe Kandy. So we are trying our best to introduce new trains. For example, from Kaluthara to Colombo, or Vayanga to Colombo, or Nigambu to Colombo. And also from Paduka to Colombo, those are the sectors we got most demand from passengers. But unfortunately, our rolling stock is kind of a relics. Some of them 70 years old, some are 50 years old. There are a few new ones also. So therefore, we have to manage with all those old rolling stock. So expected reliability we are getting from them is not sufficient. If you consider USA, I think after 40 years, they cut those locomotives into pieces for metal and remove generators for other purposes. In our country, we are using them 70 years, still using, maybe for next 30 years, they will reach 100. But with that age, okay, we are utilizing them, we are maybe environmentally friendly in that manner, but unfortunately, reliability is not there. Even if you consider our own car, usually after 5 years, we want to change it. That's because we want to ensure the reliability. So in the railway sector also, in order to ensure the reliability, we need to replace those aging rolling stock, especially the locomotives. So that's the area I think due to this financial constraint, we are not in a position to proceed faster. Hopefully we will get some investment, then we can move on and provide a better and reliable service. Also during this last, I think we got a financial crisis. We got a struggle and we got so many changes. During that time, due to the government financial constraint, railway was not in a position to start any line of credit. So many of our import items for locomotive maintenance got stuck and only recently they start coming in. So due to that aspect, many of the trains, they couldn't get serviced properly and they are not in a reliable condition. So that's a kind of a constraint we are facing today. So with all those constraints, railway is trying to get back into freight transportation. Currently, we got an agreement with Prima. We are running one train with containers. Someone said, nice to see some trains carrying containers. Yes, we are running daily train from Sidua to Trinco, China Bay. So it's carrying, I think, 20 ton, 24, 20 ton containers and bringing back empties. And currently we are discussing with them whether we can have another train carrying their products from Colombo to Jaffna. Hopefully we can start it. Also another discussion going on about having a freight train coming from Beliata to Colombo to connect Hambantota harbour. Hopefully those will materialize. Then maybe you can see more freight trains on our roads, and maybe we can increase our percentage from current 2% to little bit more. And also we earlier talked about freight transportation. Railway was built for freight transportation based on demand from the planters, British planters. So at that time, railway was built to carry products from plantation to Colombo harbour and get imported products out of Colombo harbour into those outer areas. But unfortunately, this is a situation at port today. This is a Trinco port. The connectivity has been removed 30 years back. Similar situation in Colombo port. The tracks only going to Bandaranaike Pier, but also not much in use. It's a curved one, and none of the terminals are being served by railway network. So we need to get that connectivity first. Then we can talk about having more freight transported by railway. But I think there are some talk about the industrial, how we can do the industrial transportation as well as how to support industries in Sri Lanka. But there are opportunities in railway for local industries. One thing is track making. The Sri Lanka, we got companies who are making expressways and highways, very good at that. Railway track engineering is much more simpler. So I think if we can open our track construction to local companies, definitely they can get the know-how, and even they can go to the foreign markets and do this kind of a project. I think the simplicity of railway track making is an advantage where we can use and make local companies capable of doing this kind of projects. As I mentioned earlier, one thing is port connectivity. We need to reconnect railway lines back into our ports. And then we can talk about dry ports. Dry port is a concept where you can take containers out of the port to remove the congestion there, and you have a different, further away place where much convenient for truckers to take it to their destinations and do the processing there. If we can have that kind of arrangement, there's a talk about, I think, Vayangod and some other places. If we can have that kind of arrangement, definitely railway can serve that kind of a connectivity and serve the development of an economy. I think today, even though we are not doing much freight, we got a lot of, demand for this tourism-based, from the tourist industry especially for Colombo Ella section traveling. For that purpose, I think we have introduced so many trains. They have been very much popular and also profitable. And profitable, I think that's the area also I think we can help the tourism industry. And also we got these coaches, after their usage, they put back, they are sold for scrap metal. I think they can be converted to restaurants. Currently we are doing a project in railway, and we are going to put those at LS station for tourist attraction, some hotel rooms and restaurants. So that's, in earlier slides I have given you facts based on my knowledge and experience. So we are in 2025, we are in a situation where railway is trying to attract more freight into the railway and also to improve the passenger transportation facilities in Colombo and suburban areas. So therefore, even though earlier railway got a monopoly and many people came to railway, we no longer have a monopoly today, currently, but we got a competitive advantage in certain areas. Like due to the road congestion, we can go for special services for passengers in urban areas, and also we can try to attract freight back into the railway. But when we consider the freight transportation, if you consider railway, there's also going to be double handling. Because we got a limited track area of 1,450 or something like that, straight railway lines. So they are not serving throughout the country. So if someone want to use railway, they are not adjacent to the railway tracks, or they are not having a railway siding, they have to bring their freight to the railway point using road transportation and carry it through the railway network, and at the other end they have to use their own road transportation means. So that means double handling. So double handling is preventing freight forwarders coming to railway. So we need to find a solution for that kind of constraints. Maybe a dry port can be a good solution where we can create demand for railway freight transportation.
බෞද්ධ ඉතිහාසය, බෞද්ධ තොරතුරු, ගමේත් නගරේ, පන්සලේ තොරතුරු, පෙරහැර නරඹන්න, විචිත්‍රවත් ධර්ම දේශනා අහන්න. මේ සියල්ල ගෙනෙන එකම බෞද්ධ YouTube නාලිකාව SL පන්සල. subscribe කරන්න, like කරන්න, comment කරන්න, share කරන්න. SL පන්සල.